All right, all right, all right. Welcome once again here in the Lion's Den. We appreciate each and every one of you guys showing up today. Today we're having an AMA with HoudiniSwap, who has been here for quite some time. They've been building in the bear, obviously, and ready to reap the benefits here in the bull. As far as I can see, as well, they've actually been doing some really good things during this. Crazy long bear market, so like I've said before in many different AMAs that we've had with many different projects. I've said before, you always want to pay attention, right, to the guys and gals that are out here that are actually building something, generating revenue for their project and things like that. And that's exactly what Houdini Swap is doing here in the space. And I'm definitely excited to have them on today, even more so because I'm actually a holder of Houdini Swap, which they go by Poof. If you guys don't know, but we'll get into that here shortly. So, again, if everybody that's in the room so far, if you could just do me a favor and just repost the room for us and get some more people in here so we can get this party started. So, in the meantime, Scott, how you doing, brother?
Yo, how you doing,
Not
mate?
too bad, not too
Yeah,
bad.
really good, mate. Really good. Um, we got Lou here. Do you want to say a quick introduction, Lou?
Yeah, sure. What's up? What's up, guys? Can you hear
Yeah,
me all
we hear you
right?
great, Lou. How
My
you
mic
doing, brother?
working? Awesome. Doing well.
Yeah, if
Doing
you just
well.
wanted
Thanks.
to,
Excited to
maybe
be
before
here.
we get into Houdini Swap and Poof, maybe if you just want to give a little background on yourself, how you got into crypto, how long you guys, you've been in crypto, etc. You know the norm. If you just want to let everybody know a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
about yourself, and then we can jump into Houdini Swap.
Sure. Sure. So my name is Lou. I first got into crypto just by being a casual investor. It was back in late 2016. I was kind of the guy at the at the free drinks or at the parties who was shilling Bitcoin, and everyone's like, "What the hell is this guy talking about?" And then 2017 bull run came around, and people were like, "Oh," and then rather, I was like, "Oh, maybe I should stop talking about Bitcoin so much because people are going to start, thinking that I'm some really rich dude or whatever." But anyway, started to get in. I got in around there. I was working in TradFi, working in investment banking for a number of years, and about 3 or 4 years ago, I left to pursue entrepreneurship. Uh, I had always wanted to work in crypto and DeFi full time, but the right opportunities hadn't presented themselves. I actually did a couple really interesting things in TradFi with asset tokenization back in 2017, 2018, and we were really early doing that, a little too early. Nothing actually panned out. But anyways, when I left TradFi, first place I looked to was DeFi. Started getting involved in all the like degen rooms and started networking within Telegram and just doing the things that one does to get involved, buying the coins, getting rugged, doing whatever. And then over time, started to work very closely with a couple KOLs, building out different utility projects, working on operations mainly, and then noticed the huge problem around privacy. And so that's what got us started with Houdini Swap, and I can get into all of that, but that's a bit about my background.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And at the end of the day, I got to agree with something here, Lou. Like what the old saying goes, how is it that your network reflects your net worth, right? So that's good. So that's definitely you're obviously not a newbie to the space. You've been in here for quite some years now. So me personally, I've only been in since 2021. So I always respect the guys that have been around, which I refer to as veterans, right? So with that being said, did you just want to jump into Houdini Swap and maybe give us exactly what is Houdini Swap and how would it benefit us as crypto holders and things like that? How would that benefit us using something like Houdini Swap?
Yeah, sure. Happy to. I'll start off, well, just very high level. Houdini Swap, you could think of Houdini Swap as enabling bank account level privacy, right? Like when you use your bank account, the counterparty of the transaction can't look inside of your bank account and see how much money you have. Like that's just very high level what HoudiniSwap enables. And we do so completely cross-chain. We're chain agnostic in a really easy fashion. I think it would help to kind of explain the origin story of HoudiniSwap, how it got started, to really paint the picture of why it's so important and why it is growing so quickly and getting noticed by people all over DeFi and all over crypto.
Yeah, definitely. I
The,
would love to hear it
yeah.
myself, honestly. Yeah, go ahead for it.
Yeah. I think you guys will like it. It's a pretty funny story, honestly. So I told you I was working with my buddy, helping him with operations, building out different utility projects. He was building a lot of. He was promising a lot of really interesting features, and I was out there going to build them and make sure that they actually panned out. And there was one project I was helping him with where he said, "Hey, we need a call from this KOL, from this Twitter influencer. We need a post." And so I reached out to the Twitter influencer and I said, "Hey, I'm looking to get a post." The guy says, "Okay, bro, 2 ETH." I said 2 ETH. This was back when ETH was like $4,000 or something. I was like, 2 ETH for one post? And he's like, "Yeah, 2 ETH, bro. It's what I charge everyone, no matter what. It's 2 ETH." And I was like, "Okay, that seems like a lot." And I was like, "I'm working with so and so, my buddy, who had a good reputation." I was like, "I'm working with him. Is it really still 2 ETH?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, bro, it's what I charge everyone." So I'm like, "Okay." I go back to my buddy. I say, "It's 2 ETH for a post." He says, "Okay, do it." I send the guy 2 ETH. He makes the post. And then I think to myself, I'm like, let me just take a peek inside of his wallet and see what's going on. I go to Etherscan, I click into his wallet, and I see my transactions there at the top, 2 ETH. And then right underneath it, I see 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, 1, 1, 1. And I'm like, what's going on? So I reached out to him. I'm like, "Buddy, you said it was 2 ETH for everyone. I paid more than anyone else in your wallet." And he's like, "Bro, how could you look into my wallet? Like, you're such a rat. How could you do that? Like, that's so, like, stop snooping on me." And he blocked me. Okay. And it was that moment when I realized this is so broken. Like, there is something so flawed about the fact that if I went for dinner with someone and I split the bill, they would have unfiltered and permanent access to my wallet. Like the next thing I did was I just tracked that. I noted down the name of that guy's wallet and I still have access to it. Right. And it's been years since that event happened. And I could see all the transactions. I know exactly how much money he makes. I know where he spends his money. It's crazy. And our thesis is that if crypto is to become this global digital payment system, which it's going to be over time, there needs to be a certain degree of privacy. Privacy needs to exist. It's just not practical without it. You don't walk around the with a name tag of your net worth, right? You don't just like these things. These basic level of privacy needs to exist. That's how we got started. Obviously, it's evolved quite a lot since then, but I think it helps paint the picture of just how obvious and yeah, how obvious this problem is, and it's part of the reason why we're doing now like $350 million in volume or whatever it is on an annualized basis, something like that. It's because it's a real problem that we're solving.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, to be honest, I've actually used your swap quite often now. It is really, really good to be honest. And what I like about it is literally you can swap like cross chain and stuff like that. I do think your project's going to be absolutely massive, especially in the upcoming bull run. But I love how you explained it all. And yeah, people don't want other people snooping all the time, and so it's definitely solving a lot of issues.
Yeah, totally. I mean, over time we've evolved into a lot more than just breaking the link between sender and receiver, right? That specific problem that we set out to solve. The cross-chain capabilities now are pretty unique and pretty outstanding. I'm obviously biased, but I use it all the time too for bridging different currencies back and forth. About 25% of our volume nowadays is strictly bridging. It's not even about the privacy. So we bring people in with the privacy features, solving that really important problem, and then they stay because of the robust cross-chain capabilities. You can go from Cardano to Solana. Like, find me another place on in DeFi where you can go from Cardano to Solana, right? Like, that doesn't exist. That there's no bridge that does that.
And
Yeah.
that's pretty cool though, Lou, because the a great idea, right, always starts, as far as I'm concerned, is with solving some sort of problem. If you follow these bigwig guys that start these multi-billion-dollar companies and things like that, whether it be a service or a product, right, whatever it may be at the time. What these guys have done, majority of them that have went on to be extremely successful, what they have done is that they have solved a problem. Us as human beings, there's always problems with certain things. And the ones that, act on solving said problem are the ones that are in the front run of something great, as far as I'm concerned. Now, with that being said, let me ask, so now how would somebody go from point A to point B using HoudiniSwap itself?
Yeah, thank you. I echo everything you're saying about solving a problem. I think it's just to add some commentary on that point first. It's there is a big problem in DeFi where people are building crap that solves no problem. Um, there is definitely a use case and like a huge market for meme coins, but I think even meme coins themselves solve a problem of people's urge to gamble, right? Or like urge to unite over something shared. So it is solving it, but there's so much on the tail end of just people building stuff and launching tokens that never take off. You got like, as someone participating in DeFi, it's so important. I totally agree with you. It's so important to just look and see traction, look and see if it's actually something you would use. Like, how many projects that you invest in do you actually use? That is to me, the most important metric. A very famous investor in TradFi once said, if you want to find the best companies, look on your phone and see what apps you're using. Those are the ones that are going to have lasting power most likely. And I kind of agree with that. So anyways, echo your point about solving a problem. Really, it's really important. How someone uses HoudiniSwap, it's really simple. Like, go to the web. Once you try it for the first time, a lot of people are hooked right after, because we really focus on simplicity. All you do, it looks like any normal swap. You just click the drop down, you select the token you want to send in, you select the token you want to receive, and then you select the address of where you want to send it. So it can be your own wallet, it could be someone else's wallet, doesn't matter. You input how much you want to send. So it's token you want to send in, how much of it, token you want to receive, address you want to receive it. You click generate order, creates the order. There's no wallet connect. We did that for security purposes, because when we launched, there was a lot of hacks going on with like multi-chain. You might remember some of the bridges that were getting hacked. So we said, screw that, no wallet connect. There's an address that it generates. You send your funds into that address, and magically it appears on the other side in your desired token in the specified amount. Really simple.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
honestly, it's amazing. The first time I used it, I was like, "Shit, where's my money gone?" 'Cause obviously, I was doing it with ETH, and honestly, I'd done like a $5,000 Bitcoin transaction to ETH, and it took a little bit time because it was Bitcoin and the network was
Sure.
congested. But
Sure.
yeah, normally it's done within about 5-10 minutes. But
Yeah.
it's really amazing, mate.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, and the when it comes to like doing the first transaction, that's difficult. And that's something it's difficult for us to convince someone to do. It takes a lot of social proof of other people talking about it. It takes AMAs like this where people can hear the team speaking and understand where we're coming from. But what we're what we're working on now is we're redoing the website, like we're relaunching the website in a really interesting way. And what we're focused on is demonstrating and showing people, look, we've done $200 million in volume to date, and we've never once lost a user fund. So like, you know, if you're the odds of you being the first one are zero. So, we're trying to show that it's safe and all these things, but that takes time. But once you do it the first time and you see your funds arrive, then you're hooked.
Yeah, but even that, bro, even if something did go wrong, obviously you would correct it anyway. It's not like, you've got a Telegram group and, I'm sure even if anything did go wrong, that literally they just go into your Telegram group, and there's always someone active there anyway. So, to be honest, anyone listening here, this is just personally, I've used it like so many times, and I've never had one issue. So that's just, I think that's me saying it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and the other thing that we have is 24/7 support. So we have actual people, not bots, actual people behind keyboards on Telegram in a support group where, well, it's like a one-on-one channel, a support channel where you can reach out and they will hold your hand through the transaction. We do get people freaking out. I sent it in, it's been 30 seconds and my funds are gone. Like, what's going on? And they're very well trained and well equipped to help people through. And we train them on kindness, like just be normal, just be a normal human. Like, and people will really appreciate that. It's one of the few places I think in crypto period where you can get support from someone who's not like a freak.
Yeah, the thing is with that, Lou, also is like, I've also used HoudiniSwap a couple of different times. Definitely a great source and a great tool to use. But I think it's something like, even though myself, right, off ramping here in the United States, I off ramp to Coinbase. And obviously sending ETH or whatever, to over to Coinbase to cash out and to get fiat back into a bank account, etc. It always leaves you with those butterflies in your stomach, because basically you're sending whatever amount of money from point A to point B, and sometimes depending on the congestion or whatever that may be, it could take a little time for it to get to point A to point B.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People are just like, I can understand, the stress that
For
would
sure.
cause people, as far as that concerned. Yeah, I've been on your website, obviously, like I said before. You say you're revamping it. I actually think the old website right now is pretty cool, like how when you drag the mouse and it's got the little smoke clouds and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm just a huge fan of a nice, clean, well structured, website and logo and things like that. And you guys have definitely nailed that 100%. If I remember correctly, when did you guys launched and started this whole process at the beginning of this year, roughly 10 months ago or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, we started building January of last year, so almost 2 years ago, and then went into a very, we went into beta, like we just launched the website basically without telling anyone in July and started to get very little traction. We called that our beta testing. Like we had maybe 10, 20 people using it max. We worked out a lot of the bugs, and then by January we were ready to do our public launch.
Very nice, bro. Very nice. And I see here too, another thing that I wanted to touch on, which, people are usually interested in, just like us, here at Maine, to way that when we hold these AMAs and other marketing, paid marketing services, we use the income that's generated, obviously to buy back the chart and burn a Maine token. Now, if I'm correct, Houdini Swap has a similar setup as well, and you guys are just, I mean, looking here, I enjoy the, usually on Mondays, or at the beginning of the week. I know usually you have your Magic Mondays, as far as your AMAs and stuff are concerned, on a weekly basis, usually. And then you also put out a nice weekly report for everybody to see and just look at how many swaps and how much money was actually swapped, and things like that. Did you want to go over a little bit about how, Houdini Swap actually makes money that would benefit anybody that's really a holder of the token itself?
Yeah, sure, sure, and appreciate that. Appreciate you following along. The way that Houdini Swap earns money is it helps to explain what we are at our core. At our core, we're an aggregator of different exchanges that exist online, right? They can be different dexes, non-custodial exchanges, whatever they may be. We aggregate them. And the deals that we cut with them is we'll never charge a markup. Like you'll never see a price that's higher than any of our exchange partners that we aggregate. It's always the same or lower because we're finding the user the lowest cost route. So the deal we cut with these exchange partners is that we earn a commission from them. Okay? So again, we take from their margin, not charging a markup to the user. That's a really important distinction. Anyways, the commission that we get back works out to be around 0.5%, 0.45% of each transaction. Currently, we're doing about 6.5 million in volume per week. And if you do the math, that works out to be around 30 to 35,000 per week in revenue, of which gets used to buy back the token to support liquidity and fund the loyalty program and everything else involved with the token. That's basically it. To date, we've bought back on the chart, not just burned, bought back almost 7% of supply, 6.9% of supply, which is well over $1 million to date. Our run rate is we do about 1.5, 1.8 million per year dollars in buybacks.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane, man. And and to be, and like I'll go ahead and call a spade here when I say that Houdini Swap is extremely, extremely undervalued, man. Especially for what you guys are doing in the space and just adding, the just something that I believe is just truly needed, as far as being able to anonymously stay safe and not have everybody, the wallet hunters, I like to call them here in the space, looking at everything it is that you do. I mean, just like I was looking at your weekly report again, is showing that you said it was a new weekly volume of $6.6 million over 2,500 swaps. I mean, to me, that's just crazy. And only I can only imagine, that number, especially when we're in full send in the bull market, right? To that number just to go insane. Even though, as of right now, I gotta say, with the project, being what it is at this time, that is no small change from the volume and things like that you guys have put out. And you guys do this like on a weekly basis. I mean, with the swaps and the amount of swaps and the amount of volume that goes through there, to me, that shows that you guys have some really hardcore believers of the swap itself. And yeah, like I said, I think that that's just amazing to me, that the way that you guys are throwing up numbers, the way that you guys are doing so.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. And look, like hitting new records is no small feat. Like it takes a tribe, right? Like it takes a village. And it's the community that we have. Whether it be the token holders or it's the people who are using the swap telling their friends. We don't do a ton of marketing. We're going to change that in the beginning of next year and start really doing some marketing pushes, but it's been for the most part word of mouth. It's been our support team, it's been our developers. Like there's a ton of work that goes on behind the scenes to just establish trust, make sure that the product works, make sure that everything's functioning smoothly, and yeah, and the numbers speak for themselves. Like we kept saying week after week, when when volume on Uniswap was declining so heavily, which was happening back in October, right? Like last month, or maybe the month September, I think we hit almost a 2-year low in DEX volume, which just means that everything, like it was dead for a while. I don't know if you remember, but gas prices, if anyone follows gas prices, they're a really interesting metric for activity that's happening, right? You might remember the last bull run, gas prices were like 100 gwei. It costs like $100 to do a swap, something crazy. At one point in September, it was four. It was 4 gwei. It was like cents to do anything. It was crazy. It was dead. We were still staying the same in terms of volume. Like we were still doing $4 or $5 million a week in volume. And to us, that was like, okay, those aren't new record numbers, but the fact that we're not declining alongside Uniswap shows that we're actually growing. Like we were growing during the bear market, and now when people are having more reason to use Houdini Swap, that's when we think it's gonna, like you said, it's gonna get crazy. Like during the, you don't, there's not always a need for Houdini. You don't need Houdini swap every transaction. It's there. It's optional privacy, right? It's bridging. It's all these things that you need maybe infrequently. But when the bull market hits, you're gonna need it a lot. Like it's gonna be really useful, and that's when we're gonna start seeing, we think two, three, four, five times as much volume. It's gonna get really interesting.
Yeah, I definitely totally agree with that. And just to confirm, because that's something that I maybe, some people may be wondering as well. In order to use, I mean, I want to backtrack for a second. I
Sure.
think once you use the first time, right? Once you actually use Houdini Swap for the first, because I'll be honest with you, right? Just like probably a lot of people in this room are thinking, like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to trust, things like this. But obviously, if you're following Houdini Swap and you're seeing the volume that it's doing, and as Lou has already said, that nothing has been lost as of yet. So therefore, I truly believe that we're in safe hands here. But also, I want to say, just if you was just to use it only one time and see the magic behind it, then you're like, oh man, this thing is actually really, really, really beneficial to me as a holder. And like you said, Lou, like you don't have to perform every transaction, obviously with Houdini Swap, but it's always a good thing to have these types of tools in your tool belt as a crypto trader, right? To have access to at any time that you might need something like this. So, with that being said, I did have a question. It came from a chat here. Do you have to be a holder of Poof, which is the token back with Houdini Swap? Do you have to be a holder of Poof in order to use the swap itself?
No, you do not.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, I kind of knew the answer to that, but I think people might have just wanted to hear it from you.
Sure, sure.
Now, let's talk about Poof itself for a second. When did you launch that? And because at the end of the day, I mean, you could just technically just have the swap and really didn't even put a token behind that, correct? So how did that come about? The whole token of Poof and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Great question. So we launched Poof, when I said earlier that we did our public launch, that was in January of this year. We launched the token. Um, the token has a lot of really interesting benefits, and there's a lot more coming out in January. We're doing a migration to a new contract. There's a lot of excitement and buzz building around that, but I'll put that aside for now. What the token does um, beyond just like uh, beyond just having a token, like what it does is it builds community. Web3 and tokenization creates these like really, really interesting incentives for communities to be built and for people to come back, and it gives people a reason. It gives stickiness to a product in a really interesting way. And I think that that benefit alone is enough for a lot of projects to issue a token and link the uh, project to the token, right? Like, so I'll give you just some evidence. When in December, before we launched the token, Houdini Swap was doing about 80,000 a week, maybe 100,000 a week in volume. It was getting traction. It was growing word of mouth a little bit. People were giving us good feedback. We were building. Then we launched the token in January, and within 3 days, we were doing 500,000 in volume. It's that kind of marketing, networking, community building, all these benefits that come with having a token and having a community that you just can't, like, you can't compare it. So it was a no-brainer to launch a token and marry the 2. We're gonna One of the things that we have our eyes set on, and it's a really untapped opportunity for us, is we have somewhere around 60,000 users of Houdini Swap. That's our estimate. We don't track unique users for obvious reasons, but we have about 60,000 users of Houdini Swap. We have 1,200 token holders, or maybe even 1,100. I haven't looked recently, but there's a huge delta between people using it and token holders. And that's something that we're looking to address and make it a more meaningful connection. And if we can convert like 30% of our users into token holders, that would give us a 20,000 token holder base. It's a huge opportunity for us that we think um, could make things even more interesting than they already are.
Yeah, so maybe you could offer like less fees and stuff. Like if you do different tiers. So
Hmm.
obviously, if you're holding a certain amount of poof, you can get like transactions for cheaper and stuff like that. And I think that would give you a lot more holders straight away.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. We actually had that. We had that for a really long time, and where I think we fell flat in converting people was at the time of the swap, we weren't doing a good enough job at communicating the program. So, for example, what we're going to have moving forward in like January and onwards is when you complete a swap, it'll say at the bottom, like, save this amount, like claim your X number of poof, right? Like claim your 200 poof now, and you click it, and then you get brought into being a token holder, right? All these, like, we just need a better way to get people to buy in to this program, and those are the types of things that we're working on. But yeah, that's an excellent idea, and definitely one we're going to implement.
Also, Lou, speaking of this thing that you've got going on of Q1 of next year, now is that something with revamping? Is that something that involves Poof, the Poof token as well? Like you guys are doing something different with that? Something I've read a little something about it, but
Sure,
not quite
sure.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. So we're releasing details live as we speak. Like last week, we've been alluding to it for a really long time. We've been hinting at what the plan is. Last week, we released the first bit of detail around it, which is we'll be doing a token migration. So launching on a new contract, we'll be releasing a lot more details around what that involves. But we've confirmed that that will be happening around the second week of January. The other thing we've alluded to and we've hinted at is that we'll be revamping our tokenomics, improving our tokenomics such that we're rewarding the long-term holders and punishing the short-term flippers. Like, we don't want people who are going in and out of the project. We don't really want people who are like waiting for a big news announcement to dump. We want to incentivize people who see the vision, who understand that if crypto is going to become this global digital payment system, privacy needs to exist, and that's not going to happen overnight. That's going to take a long time. And so we want to reward those types of behaviors and punish the other types of behaviors. That's the extent of what we've announced. Tune in next week, and we'll be giving a lot more details on our Magic Monday, 9 p.m. UTC on our channel.
Yeah, that's definitely amazing, man. Like I said before, man, you guys, as far as I'm concerned, the Houdini swap and the Poof token itself is extremely, undervalued. And as a holder, obviously I'm rooting for you guys big time. And when you guys first came out, I remember like you guys were part of the like I think didn't you come out with we recently had an AMA with Drew
Sure.
over Amino Rewards. You guys were part of like the Dream, like Eco, like what do you call it, the incubator or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that,
Dream
right?
Labs. Yeah.
Yeah, Dream Labs. Yeah, there you go. That I was thinking of the name for that. So that's really cool too. I remember when you guys first came out, and I was just reading so much about it, because you were putting out details about how the swap is going to work and things like that. And I just remember thinking, just with the whole logo and then what it is that you were doing, I just thought that was just genius. So how did you come up with the whole name for Houdini Swap anyway? Is there a story to that or no?
No, honestly, that was like, shout out to Dream Labs. That was honestly their idea. We were brainstorming constantly, throwing out different ideas. I had probably 15 domain names reserved, and then someone brought, I think it was Drew actually. He's like, "What about Houdini Swap?" And it just clicked. Like, it was so obvious, and the theme of magic and wizardry, we love really leaning into that and talking about, and like bringing people into this world of wizardry and magic, and it just, and like the smoke and all the things that we have. It really just, everything aligned quickly and clicked.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. And like I said, that's always the hardest part, right? You come up with this freaking genius idea, and then you're sitting around contemplating for days, if not weeks, on what are we going to call it, man? What are we going to put? What kind of logo are we going to do, man? So honestly, if people's ever been into that position before, which I have, numerous different times on different businesses that I've started and ran, that's always one of the hardest things is coming up with with the logo and a tagline and all that good stuff. So I'll tell you one thing, man, it's actually genius because if anybody in here, obviously Scott has mentioned that he's used Houdini Swap himself, and as well as I have, the name, the logo, and everything fits just perfect with that. So with that being said as well, Lou, we're closing out the year here in Q4. We've got the holiday season upon us, where the market is looking beautiful. We've got some ups and some downs. Hopefully, sooner than later, we might see some even more positive, bullish activity as far as the market's concerned. Now, as far as Houdini Swap and Poof is concerned, what kind of goals do you guys, or some things that you guys might want to do coming into 2024 Q1, Q2 of next year? Did you guys have any goals or anything that you just want to do as far as that's concerned?
No. Yeah, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, tons. There's a lot that we've got going on, and we'll be releasing a full roadmap. I think for the sake of this audience, the evolution of Houdini Swap has been is now like where it's going is really clear to us. It wasn't always clear, but it is now. Where we started with that story, if you were here since the beginning of this AMA of just this innocent use of not what like of breaking the link between sender and receiver. It started there, launched Houdini Swap. We got some adoption with traders who didn't want to disclose their wallets, with were people who were high net worth individuals who didn't want to disclose their wallets. We had people who were just privacy enthusiasts using it, and that was all great. We started to see some really interesting use cases pop up when DeFi native businesses, so businesses operating strictly within DeFi, came to us and said, "Hey, can we use this as a payroll tool?" And then it clicked to us, we're like, wow, this is actually a really important business solution. So if you're a crypto business and you're giving out payroll, every employee can see what one another makes. Like it's crazy. And we've heard stories of people getting, people quitting because the other dev is making, X amounts more than the other. It's ridiculous. So we started creating a suite of business tools, payroll. We started to see some really interesting bridging use cases. Anyways, I mention all that because where the next evolution is and where we're spending a lot of our time is we've separated out from a branding standpoint the core technology that enables Houdini Swap, this cross-chain aggregator, privacy features, all that stuff I've been describing, and we branded it as XBlock. So the core technology is called XBlock. Houdini Swap is a user of XBlock's technology. We have a business development group that is going out and reaching out to projects and offering XBlock's API, so the connection into the technology, to enable it in their project. So, for example, you're going to build the next MetaMask. You're going to build the next big wallet. Introduce a toggle for privacy when users are going to send transactions. You're building the next Axie Infinity. You're a GameFi project. Create a bridge so that people can bridge their assets into the game without disclosing their personal financial information, right? Decouple your financial information from the game you're playing. Those are two examples. So Q1, Q2 of next year is going to be a very significant push into XBlock's API. We already have almost 20 different projects building or actively using the API package. But that's kind of our B2B arm. It's a lot more professional. We'd love to get it inside MetaMask kind of thing. Like that would be game changing. But there's a lot of really interesting conversations we're having now to introduce optional privacy in different places. That's what's coming up next. And then moving beyond that, like where we see probably the end of next year or maybe Q3 is XBlock institutional. So institutions, imagine the problems that you have as an individual around privacy in crypto and multiply that by 1,000 when it comes to institutions. these guys are investing in projects and everybody's tracking all of their wallets. Like, people freak out when they sell, people freak out when they move money. Like, it is a disaster from a PR and a security standpoint. Like, imagine all of the hackers that start to appear when you move a block of $5 million. So they need privacy just as much as we do, and we're building out tools alongside them to enable that. So that's kind of the roadmap: retail, B2B, institutional. That's what we've got. That's really exciting coming up for next year.
Yeah, that's truly amazing, Lou. That like I've said many a times on these types of spaces, you've got to give credit where credit is due. For guys like yourself, that are actually out here building things and solving problems. Just a thought in my head just popped up. With one of our partners, that's helped us out significantly here in Maine, Just Money. Those guys have a bunch of different tools and things like that that they have built, that are already ready to go for businesses and things like that to use, which I just think is just truly amazing when you can get together, with a group of people, and they're able to create things and solve problems at the end of the day, right? Because everybody that wants to get involved in, like, a say, a certain business or anything like that, if you have the tools that would make your life easier, then why would you not use those, right? So definitely hats off to you, Lou, man, for going through it, and sticking, through this horrible bear market that we've been going through lately, and the fact also that you guys have just continuously, nonstop, you hold, like you said, you hold your weekly AMAs, where you go over basically everything that's happening with the project, and different little things like that. I've actually been to a few of your magic shows myself. I even remember when you guys very first launched, and you would have those, like you had a magician there and things like that. So that was
Yeah,
that was
Max the
pretty cool.
Magician.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so look
yeah,
at
yeah.
that. So yeah, so just by me telling you that, obviously you know that I've been around in Houdini Swap and Poof for quite some time, because I even remember back when that type of thing was happening. So definitely, man. As far as I'm concerned, like I said before, I'll never give anybody financial advice, because that's not what I'm here to do. Maine is a platform to bring projects, amazing projects like Houdini Swap on, and to give them a platform to speak and let people know, obviously, like ones here in the space, to let them know about what it is that they're doing and how they're going about doing it. But like I said, not financial advice, but I would definitely, as far as I'm concerned, I have a nice bag of poof, and I can't wait till the market full sends, and see where this thing can go, because as of right now it sits, yeah, you guys are roughly, I think, what is it, roughly about almost 1,200 holders, 1,100, something like that, holders, I believe. In you guys, as far as I'm concerned, man, it's a crime, as far as that many holders are concerned, because I see this thing, just having thousands upon thousands of holders, and obviously, like you said, you're working on that, due to that you have, you said, what was it, roughly 60,000 or something unique users or something like that that actually use the swap, but only very obviously a very small percentage of that are holders of Poof. And but yet again, Lou has a game plan. Lou's got, he's went to the round table set, and talked it over with behind the scenes to go and get a solution to this little problem that we have here. But man, I'll tell you what, though, like I've said, just guys like this that are out here, and projects out there are, in these tough times that we've witnessed, over this horrible long bear market, right? Like, I mean, guys like Lou and Houdini Swap that are out here continuously pushing and pushing. I mean, if that doesn't stand for something, I don't know what is. So with that being said, Lou, I mean, did you have anything else that you want to let everybody know? I know that, we have HoudiniSwap.com. Obviously, everybody in the room, you want to follow. He is on, actually, Lou's on the Houdini, main X. They have a Telegram and things like that. Me or Scott will actually get a nice little post put together, so and we'll put that up so that it will give links to your socials and things like that, so people can go and check you out.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate all of that. we're at HoudiniSwap everywhere on Telegram and on Twitter. Um, yeah, things that we got going on. Look, I mean, it's a really exciting time. Like you've said, we've been building heads down, working hard during the bear market. Like people, there were periods where we'd get some FUD that like, oh, you guys aren't doing enough. It's like, no, we're working it literally as hard as we can. The fruits of our labor will start to pan out, and people are starting to
Yeah,
realize it, right? Like
yeah.
it's been a grind, and it's now like you're all lucky that Maine. I mean, I think you're all lucky that Maine has reached out to us to bring us up here because it's just such an exciting time. Like
Yeah.
6 months ago, it was still exciting, but now as we're looking over the horizon onto this bull market, it's like it's just a really exciting time for us. We've got our token migration, we've got this huge marketing campaign that we're pushing, we've got all sorts of new utilities coming out, new partnerships. It's gonna get crazy. Like it's gonna get really crazy, and we'd love to have you all hop in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've just pinned the one of your tweets in the nest at the top. So anyone that wants to actually check out the site, just click that tweet, and their website is above. And obviously you can get all their details through that then. But yeah, I've been invested in Poo for quite a while. And I've actually loved watching the growth of it, to be honest, because obviously I'm a good friend of Drew, and he told me about you guys before you launched. And obviously I've had the pleasure to get to know you personally. And you're a great guy. And I wish you all the best, bro, to be honest.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
absolutely, Lou. Like like what you said, man. And me and Scott have had discussions about this before as well. At the end of the day, you'll never, ever, ever please every single body, right? It's an impossible task at the end of the day. But you as a project owner, obviously, if anybody who's in here right now that's been in these types of spaces before, when we have a project in here and somebody like Lou comes to the mic and they're able to speak the way that Lou speaks, right? You obviously can tell within a 5 minutes time that the guy knows exactly what he wants to do. He knows exactly what he's doing and how he wants to do it, right? So as far as that concerned, man, like hats off to you again, Lou. For building in this bear market, and it's just been so hectic. And I know it's hard on you guys as far as projects owners and things like that, because at the end of the day, you want to please everybody, but in the back of your mind, you know that that's obviously not a possible thing. So at the end of the day, the best thing to do is is to continue doing what you're doing, and that's building and just making, like you said, new partnerships and just moving forward for the best of the token and the best of the community any way shape that you can. So definitely with that, man. We appreciate you coming in and letting everybody know about Houdini Swap. Did you have any other closing statements, Lou, before we shut it down today?
No, I think that's it. Look, this has been a really good AMA. I really appreciate your questions. I would definitely encourage the community here, the listeners here, to take a look, especially at the stats, like 200 million or so in total volume, growing at like 20% month over month. It's honestly ridiculous. The growth we've
Yeah,
been
yeah,
experiencing.
I
It's a
gotta
lot,
agree with that,
and yeah,
because at the end of the day, man, like we went over the numbers of this past Monday that you posted, and it's just crazy to me the amount of, so it's not like you guys have whatever you have, and it's just like a couple $1,000 going through this thing, and you're like, yeah, we're trying. No, bro, it's like multiple tens of millions of dollars that go through
yeah.
this thing. So when people try to wrap their mind around it, obviously, the Houdini Swap is not a rookie as far as I'm concerned with those types of numbers that they're throwing up there, man. So again, hats off to you guys. Scott, did you have anything else that you wanted to say before we shut it down, bro?
No, I just want to say thanks to everyone that's joined as usual. Obviously, as DBS says, you could be anywhere in the world right now doing whatever you want to be doing, but you've joined us today. So thanks a lot for everyone that's joined, and it's been a pleasure, Lou. And obviously, the more updates you have, you're more than welcome to come back whenever, mate.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate all support. And yeah, let's do this again sometime soon.
All right, sounds good. All right, guys. Well, again, as Scott already said, we thank each and every one of you guys for showing up and coming here and hanging out with us. You have no idea how much it means to me and Scott for your continued support to come here and listen to these amazing projects that we bring into the Lion's Den. And I hope that each and every one of you have a good rest of your day or night, and we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.